Hello all, welcome to my channel Code Brigade. Today in this video I will be teaching you about the fundamentals of Selenium. This is the starting of Selenium course that I will be teaching in the upcoming few more videos. So this is the first video wherein I will be teaching about the basic fundamentals of Selenium, why it is used, what is the architecture, and why it is very much important in terms of automation in the IT industries. Okay, so the agenda today would be what is Selenium, Selenium features, Selenium WebDriver architecture, and Q&A. So in Q&A, I would like you all to post your questions, post your comments, and ask as much stuff as possible. I will respond back with the answers or maybe create a new video for the topics that you might have asked. So do subscribe the channel, share it with your friends if they are interested to learn new stuff. If they are in your, if the friends are in the IT and wants to learn automation or all the cool IT buzz concepts. Okay, moving ahead. So what is Selenium? Okay, so Selenium is an open source tool. Yes, open source means it is readily available in terms of it's readily available in the market that you can leverage and use it for your automation. Auto Selenium also helps with the automation of web browsers. So basically, the main motto of Selenium was to automate a web browser. It does not support automation of what we say Windows-based application. So first of all, it is open source tool. Second, it supports only web browsers, and it's a single interface that lets you write your test scripts in different languages. That so now it's something that you can leverage because if, for example, you have a knowledge of Java, you can write your codes in Java and automate your stuff. If someone has a knowledge of Python, he or she can write in Python and automate their stuff and so on. So yes, Selenium is open source. It automates the web browser, and the programs can be written in different programming languages. Moving ahead. So why use Selenium? Okay. As I mentioned earlier, Selenium is open source. So by open source, I mean to say that it is available in the market free of cost. You don't have to pay any licensing fee for this. Also, there is a lot of support. If not from the Selenium HQ, you will get it from the learners around the world because most of the people in the IT industries are using Selenium now. Okay. Next is it supports web-based application. As I mentioned earlier, it's only for web-based applications and not for Windows-based applications. So you have to be absolutely sure that you are automating web applications. If web applications, then your Selenium is your go-to guy. Then it supports one of the most advanced, one of the most prominent advantage of using Selenium is it supports different browsers. Okay, different browsers. I mean to say that you can automate your stuff and execute your codes in different browsers. Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox. Then you have Internet Explorer, you have Edge, you have Safari, and so on. The next advantage is Selenium is supports multiple platform. Multiple platform. I mean to say is operating systems. So it has a support for Linux, it supports Mac OS, it supports Windows and stuff like that. Then, as I mentioned earlier, it can be written in different programming languages. So it you can write your Selenium code, automation codes in Python, Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Perl, PHP, and so on. Moving ahead now. So coming on to the WebDriver architecture. mm, This is pretty much the architecture that a Selenium WebDriver follows. So, as most of the application follow client server architecture, it's similar to that this Selenium also follows client and server architecture. As you can see in the image, client means your codes, your editor in which you have written your automation codes. Then server is nothing but your browser driver and your specific respective browser. Now, so I have the small document created. So now what happens when you execute your code? So now you have written your code in a respective language. So you might have written in some editor, right? For example, for Python, if you have written it, you might have used PyCharm or maybe Eclipse for Java and so on. So what happens when you trigger this automation suite? All the code that you have written, it gets converted into JSON. Okay, it then gets transferred to the browser driver. So in your code, you might have used maybe respective browser driver details. Okay, for example, maybe Chrome driver or IE driver or so on. If you have, it will connect to, or it will get transferred to the respective browser driver, and that respective browser driver will interact with the browser. So what happens now? If you see, as I mentioned earlier, your test, when you trigger your test, okay, so this is the test that you have triggered. From here you trigger the test. That test completely gets now complete Selenium code gets converted to JSON. Okay, as I said, which we have written will be converted to JSON format. So this this particular JSON format, this particular code which is converted to JSON get transferred via HTTP, okay, to browser driver. Now, browser driver, if I say browser driver, each browser will have their respective driver. For example, when we say browse Chrome browser, it will have a driver called Chrome driver. If you have Edge driver, it will have, sorry, if you are working on Edge, it will try to interact with Edge driver. Then you have for IE, you have IE driver. For Firefox, you have Firefox driver, which is Gecko driver that you can use. Okay, so this browser driver interacts with both client as well as it interacts with browser. So from client, this driver receives the code or actions that it needs to perform, activity that it needs to perform, and all this it receives as a JSON format over HTTP protocol. Now, no, browser driver, now since the code it get the driver interprets the code. Okay, so for example, if we are calling out the Chrome driver in the code, it Chrome driver will interpret all the code and it will give instructions to the browser to perform all those activities. So all this happens over HTTP protocol. Now, this first part is done. Now browser driver will tell the browser to perform the activity, and this will happen over HTTP protocol. Okay. Now, once the activity is concluded, now if you see, browser driver communicate with its respective browser and executes the command by interpreting JSON which it received on the browser. Okay. Now, once the activity is finished, browser driver will again receive the response, which will be in the JSON format, and it will be sent to the client via HTTP protocol. So, your code gets converted to HTTP JSON and is transferred via HTTP protocol to browser driver. Browser driver will interact with your respective browser and send interpret the JSON and give command to execute those stuff, and everything will happen over HTTP protocol. Then once the activity is done on the browser side, the response will be received by browser driver over HTTP protocol, and then it will send back the response to client via over HTTP protocol and in a JSON format. So this is the complete architecture of Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so in this video, this was pretty much that I wanted to showcase to you. So if you have any doubts, if you have any queries, just post it in the comment section. Also, please share this with your friend who are interested to learn new concepts. Ask them to subscribe my channel, click the bell icon, and just share it to as many people as possible so that I can create more encouraging stuff and showcase it to you. Thank you.